by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we
You
sell.
wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. It's Friday, 12th of July. And let's do daily levels. So, yesterday, Bitcoin had a pretty bad reaction to the inflation data. But there is a little sliver of hope. Not so much for the prospects of being bullish, but in terms of relative performance, you can see how oversold crypto is compared to stocks by comparing both of these. So that was the daily candle on the S&P. Compare that to BTC. And the Nasdaq, even deeper. That was the daily candle on the Nasdaq compared to BTC. So I'm confident stocks have topped. I'm quite confident. Doesn't mean that it's the absolute pico top, of course. It can go into some kind of distribution and blah, blah, blah. But I'm pretty sure that they'll roll over and go a bit lower. The inflation news event failure, very, very reliable as an indicator. When you get news that's supposed to be very bullish, like we had over here, with the unemployment rate rising and pushing the Fed closer to interest rate cuts, and then there's no follow through and it reverses, that is a sign of a bearish market. We got the same yesterday. But the fact Bitcoin was unable to go down, the fact that ETH was unable to go down, and Sol was the weakest of the lot, shows most of crypto is probably in the near term still oversold. Again, this doesn't mean that it's bullish at all, because if stocks go into a multi-week or multi-month correction, it's going to have a drag effect on crypto, because just in general risk assets will underperform. But I wouldn't be surprised to see crypto being able to, try and form some kind of a bottom here, even if stocks at the same time were having more of a proper pullback, right? We actually just see stocks declining back down, whereas crypto has already had most of its decline and isn't able to go as deep. Not expecting that path, of course, but that's one thing I'm looking out for. The main thing would be that reaction and rejection yesterday was pretty telling. And outside of going up to fill some inefficiencies or kind of chopping around in this area here, I don't see too much to get excited about for BTC. Again, like I said a couple of days ago, it doesn't have to be max bearish either. I actually mentioned exactly this, that next time we pull back, people will get so aggressively short and so bearish so soon that we can just hold. And this can just chop around like this. Even if it's bearish, it can chop around like that for a month, right? Like it could look like that, and it keeps bouncing and dropping and bouncing and dropping, and then eventually goes down. It's not going to go like that, like people want it to. Almost certainly not. It's just not how markets move. If it was going to, you wouldn't have seen Bitcoin hold up stronger than stocks yesterday. That was your first little sign. Not a sign that it's bullish, because there's nothing bullish about this. This is, this is even potentially a Wyckoff distribution where we've had, several of the different parts. If you take, just a classic Wyckoff distribution, you had your climax, buying climax, you had your AR, you've had your second test, you have your show weakness, phase B, you have LPSY, another show weakness, LPSY, and it's just going down. Right, this is a distributing chart. This is something you'd expect to see go lower. Target for that would be like 44, back down into here. Then maybe it forms reaccumulation, and then up it goes again. That's just a classic Wyckoff, right? It's not going to play out like that, I'm pretty sure. The point being, the structure and how this is setting up is a bearish one, currently. And there's work to do to reclaim anything bullish. And you know what those are. If we go back over to the volume chart, there's the paths, right? So it can either come down or hold the lows, or it can reclaim the pivot above, which it seems to not be able to do. It's tried once and twice here, and rejected. It got above it once, rejected, got above it again, rejected. So that level appears to be resistance for now. I'll be watching that if it does bounce back up. And then in terms of the volume profile, where are we at here? Well, I've got two of them. I want to go in on a lower time frame and look at this one since the bottom to where we're at now. You can see there that we're firmly trapped inside the value area of this previous distribution, but I want to look at it from the first breakout attempt, which to me was the proper attempt to break out. And just before that, this is how I do it on my system, just before that breakout, so all of this from the low all the way up, so all of this consolidation, tried to break out, came back inside, rejected the value area high, got that squeeze up because of the CPI, back inside, and here we are. So at this point, the minimum that needs to be reclaimed is here, which would be the old value area high from before the move yesterday. If it doesn't, you're expecting a move at least to the value area low. And for me, any retest of that value area is an area to watch. As for ETH, holding up slightly better in terms of, again, same thing from its bottom. ETH's breakout attempt really was, I mean, that was just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. I would say ETH's proper attempt actually only came yesterday after this move here, when it tried to break above this level over here. There you go. Wicked above it, closed above it, back inside the value area, same thing. So I'll be watching ETH to see is it able to reclaim this level here. If not, down we go, most likely, and we just continue more consolidation. And then Solana, looking at it from a higher time frame, Solana now has a bearish chart from that daily close, whereas just yesterday it was looking like it could be about to fit the band's green. Not anymore. That's a chart that's looking heavy. So market there's an absence of any kind of bid. There's also been an uptick in the ETF inflows. We had 294, 143, 294, 216, 147, 78. And it's not really doing much to price yet. It's kind of helped the bottom form in the local bottom, but price isn't really moving in the right direction. So that would be slightly concerning, you would say. And then let's look at some of the data. We have a pretty persistent spot premium here that we've had since most of this decline. As you see, spot is trading above futures, which is a sign obviously of a potentially bullish market, but only if we trend up. Don't forget that. We've also had an uptick in open interest here. Build up an open interest here as prices starting to climb higher. That, especially with that bit on the pump on the way up, that would be a concern to me as people continue to try to long what they think is the bottom, and it's simply just not a bottom yet. There's no way you could have any confidence price action wise of this being a bottom, and yet positions keep building. So might be more flushes to come. Remember, spot premium, that only matters when price trends higher, right? Price has to be actually going higher for that to have more of an effect. And looking at this spot premium over here, the Coinbase premium itself, it had briefly went back to a, where are we? Here we are. It had briefly went back to a premium a couple of days ago. Now it's back into a slight discount. You want to see that remain in that kind of area to indicate that the lower and heavier selling has ceased. So overall, a pretty quiet market. Definitely you want to keep an eye on yesterday's. So yesterday's high for Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. When you have those news events, that lower inflation print should absolutely have been bullish for crypto and stocks, and they did not take it that way. That's definitely something to note. GM.